The word ubiquitous is an adjective, and the definition is present, appearing, or found everywhere. The reason why I'm starting off this video, which is going to entail kind of my thoughts on the present state of Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro and OneDnD and the OGL, is because I think it's important to define what D&D means to me. Dungeons & Dragons for role-playing games is like Kleenex for tissue paper. People will go to grab tissue paper to blow their nose, and they'll just refer to it as Kleenex, regardless of what brand it is. And D&D in a lot of ways is like that. If we look at it as kind of this ubiquitous game that is in many ways defines the role-playing game, the tabletop role-playing game experience. So for me to just say that I disagree with OneDnD and I disagree with the OGL is hard. This is a difficult video to make, right? Because I like D&D, like many of you. I started playing D&D, Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, in 1978. I was 5 years old. I couldn't even read, really. But my brother taught me how to play. He made a little character on a note card and, showed me the dice and then started a story and then asked me what I wanted to do, and I would have to come up with things, and we just played one-on-one for a long time. And then over time, I started to play with other kids in the neighborhood and then built a core group of friends, and basically I've played role-playing games all my life. So D&D is important to me. It does mean a lot to me. And I started my YouTube channel not with actual plays of the game, but with like random things that mostly had to do with crafting, terrain, and minis. That's kind of what I started my YouTube channel as, which still, I guess, had to do with role-playing game content. But obviously the big hitter on my channel and what really propelled it was and is the series D&D with high school students. So when I think about WotC's current situation here at the tail end of 2022 and the beginning of 2023, I see a company that's owned by a much bigger company that wants to maximize its revenue from this product. And they want to make as much money as possible. And naturally, because they're a corporation, they want to explore all the potential avenues of revenue. And as we saw in their own video, OneDnD is going to have a virtual tabletop expansion. And doubtlessly, many have already speculated that this will lead to, microtransactions. And even, I think Cynthia Williams even made some public comment to that effect. I'm obviously paraphrasing because I don't have that in front of me, but the gist is that, presumably, like D&D Beyond, this OneDnD virtual tabletop might have some very basic features for free, but then you're going to have some kind of membership fee or even microtransactions where you can upgrade specific things that you want to be able to do, whether that's purchasing cool new custom gear for your minis or more options of minis or more tabletop terrain that you could use in different setups and scenarios. I mean, it's virtually unlimited how much potential money they can generate if people play D&D on their custom virtual tabletop that they own. People are saying, well, Bill, are you going to make the jump to OneDnD? I don't know. The truth is, I don't know. Probably not, okay? But, I mean, maybe. I'm not going to say that I won't check it out, because I also consider myself a human being who is capable of critical thinking and, looking at options and being open-minded and testing things out. So I'm not going to make a video where I'm like, I'm done with D&D, because that isn't this video. So if that's what you're looking for, peace out, bye. But I guess I just wanted to share my thoughts on it. If WotC wants to make a virtual tabletop and it's really cool and people want to play it, fine. I don't mind. I really don't. Great. If they make OneDnD and make a whole bunch of changes and they want to do that and people buy into it, okay, fine, you do you. But I want to set the record straight about D&D 5e before we even go on to that. I never bought more than one book. The only book I ever bought for 5th edition was the Player's Handbook. That's it. Every other book that I have, and I have a ton of 5e books, every other book I have was donated by very generous subscribers or patrons, or sent to me free of charge because they wanted me to unbox and review that book. Or in many cases, subscribers or patrons sent books not just to me, Bill Allan, personally, but for use with the students in our club at the high school. So I'm not somebody who's like, oh, I spent hundreds of dollars on, D&D 5e. I'm not going to buy a new edition. I never bought 4th edition books. And the only 3rd edition book I bought, guess what, was the Player's Handbook. And that was like 3.0. I bought the 3rd edition Player's Handbook. And then like a month afterwards, 3.5 came out. I never bought books. Like the last time I bought books was probably 2nd edition. And even then, I think I only bought the 2nd edition AD&D Player's Handbook. Prior to that, for 1st edition AD&D, I purchased, and again, I was a kid, so I didn't even purchase these. They were probably like birthday presents from my parents. The Player's Handbook, the DM's Guide, and the Monster Manual. That was it. I have never been somebody who's spent hundreds of dollars on all the books or modules or expansions or source books. Because at the core, and you know this if you watch my channel, I'm a firm believer that you don't need all that stuff. If you want to buy it, fine, that's on you. But you don't need that to play the game. At the core, I believe truly what Gygax and Arneson and all those guys believed in, which is that all you need to play role-playing games, any role-playing games, is your imagination, some dice, and some paper and pencils. That's it. And truly, that's what I believe. I've never had to spend a lot of money on this hobby. Have I played online using D&D Beyond with people? Yeah, sure have. With my old buddies, the weekend gaming group, because we live all over the country and we can only get together in person once, maybe twice a year, we will occasionally have some, maybe once a month or once every other month, we'll play online. But I didn't pay for any upgrades. I have the basic D&D Beyond membership. But I have compassion and I have empathy for those of you who have spent a lot of money on your D&D 5e products and on your online stuff. If you've invested a ton of money in upgrading to like premium accounts on D&D Beyond in order to have access to all the books and stuff, I empathize with you with that frustration because you invested in something. And according to their first video release with OneDnD, WotC said that it was going to be backward compatible, so you shouldn't have to spend any more money. I'm not here to tell people what they should do or what they shouldn't do, but I am going to say that I don't plan to spend any more money on Wizards of the Coast products. I don't plan to really make a big jump with enthusiasm into OneDnD. I'm not saying I won't check it out. Maybe I will. And maybe, I'll even play in a game if somebody invites me to use it, but I'm certainly not going to spend money on it. I think the bigger issue that I wanted to tackle is this whole OGL thing, because there has been so much turbulence regarding the OGL. And I'm going to tell you what I think. I think that most gamers, most people who play D&D, don't have anything to worry about with the OGL, because you're playing a game that was made under the OGL, and you can use whatever you want at your table. Nobody can come to your house and tell you that you have to pay more money or that you have to buy new things. You could play whatever you want at your home table. However, as has been shared by many other content creators, where this comes into play is that if WotC and Hasbro change the OGL and enforce some new kind of strict code, it will absolutely, it has the potential to limit the third-party content that has been made under that original OGL. So what does that mean for the average player who isn't a content creator? Well, what it means is that basically like other companies that make 5e compatible content might now be at worst put out of business, but even at best extremely limited or even potentially taxed on what they make. I think that kind of sucks. I do. I really do. And I don't think that a new OGL as it has been leaked up to this point is a good thing for third-party content creators. And I sympathize with their frustration. with their anxiety and their worry. And that OGL brings up some other troubling things. How does this affect content creators like me, or like other YouTubers or people with Twitch channels? How does it affect those of us who use D&D 5e to play games, and then we have that video content, and that video content is monetized through ads on YouTube? How does that affect us? I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, and I don't even have that big of a YouTube channel. I can't even imagine what some of the other content creators who have devoted their entire channel, and in many cases left their full-time jobs to become full-time content creators on YouTube. I can't even imagine what they're going through right now. It's crazy. All I know is that, you know, I've enjoyed making the content that I've made, and I think many of you who subscribe to the channel and support me through that, or support me on Patreon, that you guys enjoy D&D, that you guys enjoy the content that I've made. I branched out beyond using just D&D a long time ago. I started doing other stuff even before anything even remotely related to the OGL or to OneDnD started to happen. And there's an important thing that we need to consider here. One of the reasons why I branched out is because, frankly, I kind of got burned out just doing D&D. And I really don't understand how other channels do literally only D&D and they're not burned out. Like, it just sapped my creativity after a while. I grew up playing a whole bunch of different games, a whole variety of different games. Like when TSR was in business, you know, we played D&D, but we also played Top Secret and Gamma World and Star Frontiers. You know, later on as we got older, we played other games, Shadowrun, Cyberpunk, Twilight 2000, Aftermath. I mean, I can't even remember all the games that we played. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Rifts, Palladium Fantasy, Call of Cthulhu by Chaosium. And then in the 90s, when White Wolf came out, we played all those games. Vampire, Mage, Werewolf, Changeling, all those things, Hunters. And, you know, I think it's good for any person who enjoys role-playing games to try other games, to play new games, to play old games that you've never played before, so that you don't just have your view of tabletop gaming as just literally D&D, because there's so much more out there, you guys. As I kind of wrap up this video, I think that's the parting message that I want to share with everybody. Now more than ever, just play other games, find other games, look for other games. And you don't need to look that far. I mean, here on the channel, like I've showed you, you know, Monster of the Week is a fantastic, a fun game. And it's fun for the players, it's fun for the keeper. Call of Cthulhu is an amazing game. Blades in the Dark is a breakthrough in gaming with a system and mechanics that are I don't know, that I've never even encountered before. Just so cool. Frankly, I probably wouldn't have even gotten into those games had it not been for other content creators and for other people recommending them, or for other people inviting me to play in other games. You know, so within the past couple of years, that's where I picked up Monster of the Week. When I got a chance to play the game on Master the Game with Juce on Juce's channel. And that game was expertly run by Colinomicon. I got to play Pathfinder 2 with Juce, and Pathfinder's a great game system if, you know, you're looking for just another option. Blades in the Dark was something that I saw, and then when I saw people playing that, I was like, wow, this game looks cool. And, you know, credit where credit's due. When I have an opportunity to play in a game, when I'm invited to play in a game, if it's at all possible, I will do so. So when I was invited by Draven from Draven Swiftbow to play Alien RPG, I hopped on that opportunity. It was an absolute blast. Fantastic game system. I don't want to just go into a massive list, but, you know, Free League Publishing, any of the Forged in the Dark games, you know, like there's so many good games out there, you guys. So many good games. So I'm not a brand loyalist. I want you to know that. Like, I've been playing D&D since the old days. It's not about the brand to me. It was about the game and the game experience, and most of all, just being at a table with humans and playing a game face to face. if nothing else, remember and take this away, that there's no better experience for us. That interactivity. There's no virtual tabletop that will ever rival the human imagination. There's no movie or TV show, and I know, because I worked in both of those industries. No matter how awesome computer graphics become, there's no medium that will ever rival the opportunities that you have when you exercise your imagination. And when you play a tabletop role-playing game at a table with people, you are doing exactly that. It is an interactive storytelling experience. Whether you're the player or the GM, you are using your imagination in an amazing way. So play what you're going to play. I reserve no judgment. But again, to summarize, I'm not a big fan of what we've seen so far with Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro's OGL. If it's going to limit content creators or tax them in some way, I'm really not a big fan. I don't think that's a good move, and I truly hope that they backpedal and they apologize and they clarify. But meanwhile, I'll be playing other games, and you should too. So thanks for tuning in. Thank you, as always, now more than ever, for your continued support, you guys. And I hope that I can keep making content for all of you that you will enjoy, that you'll learn from, and hopefully you too will be able to play some games. Peace out.
Well, hello, and welcome to Bill Allan World. I am Wizzy, the Wizard. I'm back once again to remind you to subscribe and click on the notifications button, and also watch videos that are over there. Tune in to the next episode of whatever show you were just watching, and watch other shows featuring Bill. He made me say that because he's a narcissist. Okay, bye.